Welcome to Abundance Recoded. Today I would like to share an image that I received, I think either Friday or Saturday when I closed my eyes either to meditate or go to sleep. And it's an important message for the time that we're in. Right now, with all of the planet alignments that are currently in the sky, I am not an astrologer. There are some great astrologers out there on YouTube. Steve Judd is great. But I understand. These conjunctions or alignments in the sky are causing a very large evolutionary jump in humanity. And even though science has taught us that takes thousands, if not tens of thousands of years for a species to evolve, very much working with my guides in my own path and working with clients, that this evolutionary jump will not be like that, and potentially that those other evolutionary jumps weren't that long either. We are evolutionary jumping to remembering the true essence of who we are as souls, what our true capacity is, what our gifts are, our missions, and remembering how to live life from that aspect. The human body is becoming the vessel of that energy, and that requires this very large evolutionary jump, which the alignments in the sky are assisting us with, to push us forward. It's going to cause a very large quickening of the energy, quicker than it's been, because we're remembering that we're quantum, that we are part of the quantum field, and understanding what the quantum field is and how it works. It's always been there. We've just never been taught how to use it, and we're remembering how and how to make the lives that we really want to live and we're meant to live. So this image was of a river, and there were all these almost like kayak shaped boats, and there were one person in each of them. Everybody's flowing down the river, going around all these rocks. And by the way, there's not supposed to necessarily be rocks in our rivers. Sometimes we create those, but that's for a different podcast. This river is supposed to flow very evenly. It's all of your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, your goals. Everything is this river. Abundance, freedom, peace, everything is this river. And downstream, the river split. And I sat and I watched everyone go the same direction pretty much. I knew that I was supposed to go the other way. And in essence, that fork is the evolution. Why? Because we as humans are changing. We are remembering our soul's essence, and that requires us to act in a different way. The old river pathway is the idea that you as a human, even if you saw yourself as a soul, had to go down a particular path in order to receive what you want. This is what I call the old system, or the old operating system, where you learned that you had to trade time for money, that you had to beg, borrow, and steal for it, that inequality was a thing, that there were power structures you had to fight against. All of these things are part of that old paradigm that is literally falling apart. And we're still choosing to go down that because we're not conscious yet of how our choices that we're making every day and every moment is keeping us stuck in that old patterning, where we make choices from this idea of what we want is outside of ourselves, when really everything that you see in your reality, including the chair, bed, or phone that's in your hand, is literally a projection from the quantum field. And it only exists because you have the code within you for it to be in your reality. So this phone that I'm currently holding in my hand to record this is but a program in my human body that allows it to be physical in my reality. So the days of trying to force the outside world to change, to either get what you want, to have freedom, peace, joy, happiness, love, is no longer the system that we should be working with. And if you aren't necessarily ready to make that choice, that's fine. But know from my experience over the last 6 months, maybe even longer, with myself and clients, that the longer you take to choose to go a different way and remember a way of being, the harder the old is going to feel. The more trapped you're going to feel, the more constricted you're going to feel, potentially more anger, more frustration, potentially more anxiety, because your soul is literally pressing from the inside, like, let me out, let me help you, let me show you how easy this can be, how you can be paid to exist, how you can do what you love and be paid handsomely for it, how joy can be part of every day, how freedom can be part of every day, how love is just a state that you are, how you can feel connected again, how you can feel just safe, honestly. I think that's a big thing. That all starts with your soul. There's nothing outside of you that really can make you feel that way as wholly as your soul can. We have been taught, as an example, that happiness or even joy are momentary, that they happen a couple times a year, maybe your birthday, holidays, when your family gets together, depending on how well you'll get along, or moments when your child graduates from high school, excuse me, or how when your child graduates from high school, takes their first steps, when they say their first word. All of these things are obviously joyful experiences that we will still have, but you yourself have to find joy in yourself. You are supposed to experience joy every day. Now, it doesn't mean that there won't be fear or frustration or anxiety, but they're momentary, because remembering that you're the soul, you know that you're the solution to why you have the fear or the anxiety, and you can choose differently or do something differently for it to go away. It is literally in your hands. So I sat and I watched all these boats go by, and a couple went the other way, but there's still this, like, they're saying it's subconscious. It's like just going through the motions of the day. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, you go to work, or you go to your business, you do whatever you do there on autopilot, you come home and you do it on autopilot. And the autopilot is the key. We in this evolution, especially in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we have to become aware of our actions, our thoughts, where we're focusing, in order for you to be able to jump in this evolutionary moment with as much ease as possible. And it means that you need to make different choices. You have to choose to break that autopilot. And the autopilot can be broken with simple things like driving a different way to work, or driving a different way to your business, or if you work from home, actually leaving the house, or having something different for breakfast or lunch, or going to work and talking to different people, or maybe not talking to people, just doing something different. And you have to do it every day. And they're saying more than once a day is better, because autopilot slips in very fast if you're used to being there for potentially decades. So where are you still in autopilot, and where can you make different choices? When you make a different choice, you are flipping to a new narrow pathway, a new way of being, a new way of seeing the world and saying that autopilot isn't me. And I can choose to have a different experience now because I remember. And when you start to do that, you'll start to be able to see this other pathway where you get to live from your soul's full expression, which is where all the abundance, all the freedom, all the joy, the happiness, the expansion lives. In the old system, that expansion existed, but it always was limited by people outside of you telling you how far you can go and proving your value and having to beg, borrow, and steal for the money that they might give you. That doesn't exist in this soul's expression. You remember that you are abundance, that you are the money, and that the only thing stopping you from having it is you. You get to choose how that money comes to you, how easily it is, how hard it is, and that you don't have to abide by all the stories that you've been told about how hard money is and how you have to get it. And once more and more and more of us do this, has become the natural way society works. At first, it might feel a little strange, but you may well be what I'll call like a generational breaker for you to say no more. We're not going to be slaves to the systems of money that have been established for tens of thousands of years, and we're going to do it differently. Money itself is not bad. The problem there is the old operating system created have and have nots. That is not how the universe works. There's no have and have nots in the universe. Your soul does not know have and have nots. That is literally human experience, and you get to choose whether you still want to be part of that system or you want to live in a world where everyone is a have. Because money is unlimited, abundance is unlimited, freedom's unlimited, peace is unlimited, as your soul naturally is. And when we live in a world full of haves, there's no limits. And that's the energy that we're moving to. But you have to choose which river you are going to start moving on, because this energy that we're in for the next 4 to 6 weeks is your choice point. What energy do you want to move into in the next 18 months to 2 years? This time is foundational for a very new beginning on earth, and we all play a role in it. You came here for this. Your soul came here for this. I know it's hard to sometimes hear because, man, myself, my clients, I know what people have been through. I understand what the ego and nervous system will do to you when you try to change your identity. But you have to start to choose and become conscious of where you're autopilot and choose differently. Because by doing that, you're telling to the universe that you're ready for the evolutionary jump. Unfortunately, if you don't, there's going to be a lot of resistance, because this evolution, you can't stop. It's going to happen. The thing is they want it to be easy for us. But if you can't get yourself to just change your daily habits, so maybe you're not watching as much TV and you're reading instead, or doing something that fills your soul. I mean, if you don't have something, buy a rebounder and bounce for 3 minutes instead of watching TV. Simple things. Or go for a walk, or scribble on a piece of paper. Listen to music and just dance or sing along. These all are things telling the universe that you're ready, because you're choosing differently. You're not an autopilot. And they're saying, we know that some of you are really busy, but this is really important for you and for those around you. So they're saying 1 action a day is enough for you to shift this. Breaking the autopilot and choosing differently. Choosing to have joy in the moment instead of
feeling like you need proof to have joy, or just smiling just for the hell of it. Just smiling. There's all kinds of things internally in your body that most of us don't know, but it is very soothing to the body to just smile for the hell of it. And those things are very simple, but you have to remind yourself to do it, because if you're an autopilot, you're just kind of going through your day and not paying attention. You can, it's in your wheelhouse to choose. Free will, right? This is free will, your ability to choose what your life experience is supposed to be. No one has necessarily told us this, because the quantum field was never taught. And I think part of that is twofold. One, the quantum field is very hard to understand, but we don't have to understand it. We just have to know how to use it. So, where can you make a shift? That's all this energy is asking. It's like, yes, I'm ready. And then everything else will start to change. I think this energy is going to kind of force change. It's going to force you to make a change, because it's become uncomfortable. And that's not to torture us. It's like, that's out of alignment. Your soul is not going to wait anymore. That is one of the biggest messages I've gotten. Your soul, my client's soul, have been waiting for years to finally have full control or full access to our human experience, so that it can experience the life it actually came here for. To be expansive, to have the abundance, the resources to do what it came here for, to have the freedom to speak, or have the freedom to express, or the freedom to create without all of the resistance that comes to the human body through the mind and nervous system, and for everything to work properly together. So you may feel a lot of pressure right now, and the pressure is that your soul is trying to literally be reborn through you, where your consciousness will become your consciousness expression of life will become your soul consciousness expression of life. And from there, things get easier, faster. People talk about instant manifestation, and most people I know have never had that experience, but that will become a thing. Because your soul's a magician, it's an architect, it's the creation of your whole life experience. And yes, it's part of a whole macrocosm of other souls who are all part of the one. But each soul is an expression of Source, God, whatever you want to call it, who has been given a mission or purpose with gifts, so that Source can experience that reality through that soul. So none of the soul, all the souls have purpose. Every single one of them. Doesn't mean we have to get along with each of them. That's totally normal. But what's not normal is to be angry at somebody else's soul purpose. I have run into these people and just say oil and water, because I know that they're part of Source. And their expression, for whatever reason, is that way. And I don't necessarily have to agree or get along. It has no purpose to me. I'm listening to what they're saying in my head instead of channeling, which is okay. That's fine. But we have to... They're saying there's one other piece to this. And in order for you to really make this shift, is you have to start having compassion for yourself. You have to forgive yourself for all of the things that you think that you've done wrong or made mistakes or you should have done or shouldn't have done. Like, let all that stuff go. It's literally preventing you from, or they're saying that it won't prevent you, but it will slow the process down of this evolutionary jump, because it's very heavy to carry that in your field, in your body. It never really goes away. And to do that, you have to have compassion for yourself. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not late. You haven't done anything necessarily wrong. Everything has had purpose to this point. Your soul has learned based on the human experience you've had to this point. You are going to make mistakes. Even as your soul expression, you're going to make mistakes, because mistakes aren't seen as failures from your soul's perspective. They're growth points. So you have to have compassion for yourself. Give yourself props for wherever you are in your life, how far you've come, regardless of your current situation. Are you still breathing? Have compassion for yourself. They're saying, we know some of you have had a really hard life. Let us show you how easy it can get. But first, you have to have compassion for yourself, because without compassion, it's going to be hard for you to let in this idea that you can have a soul that's going to love you so much and give you a life beyond your wildest dreams. How are you going to accept that in if you don't have compassion for yourself? Source and your soul love you. And while we would love you to even get to that state of understanding that you're loved, we know for some of you that's a hard sell, and that's okay. But you got to have compassion for yourself, because what is coming, what your soul has set up for you, is beautiful. But the thing they don't want to happen is that when it shows up, you push it away because you don't feel worthy of it, because you don't have compassion for yourself. They're saying that's like a greater podcast, so we'll go deeper into that maybe tomorrow. But which, in this split that we're having, are you still on autopilot? Are you still going through the day hoping something's going to change and nothing actually is changing, and you're getting frustrated and anxious and all the things? Or are you ready to change to the system where all those things that you are pining for and wishing for and hoping are happening naturally as part of your soul's expression? It will require you to change your behavior, your thoughts, your actions, how you act around people. But some of it will be a natural progression, and some of it may just not feel in alignment anymore, and you'll just stop doing it. But you have to get yourself out of autopilot for you to actually see they're saying the new way of being that is being birthed on the planet right now. It does take the human to wake up to that. And you get to choose. You can choose to still remain that human expression, because your free will, or your soul's expression. I just know from my own experience and from my clients is that it gets harder to be in that human expression when your soul is literally begging to be let out. So sit with that. Can you make changes during the day? Again, they can be small. You can choose to, instead of watch the news in the morning, turn on the radio and sing to your favorite songs, or make something else for lunch, or drive a different way to work, or things that changed for me back when I did this is I stopped going to the water cooler in the morning and gossiping where everyone else are complaining. That was one of the biggest things that shifted my life, is I just stopped doing it. Why? I didn't want to experience anything those people were talking about.
I wanted a better, more clear, happier life. And I couldn't believe how much change it made in my life just by not doing that, because they would make me angry first thing in the morning, and that's not really how I want to live. So like, that's an example. Or I don't know, I can't remember. It's been a while, but that was one of the big ones I made, and that made a big difference. But this is the time we're in. We're being asked, do you want to live fully as your soul expressed? That means that you have to start to make choices and let go of some of the stories from the old system so that you can see how much bigger it can be. And it starts first with you breaking autopilot and choosing differently during the day, telling the universe and building new neural pathways for you to have a different experience than you've had before. And that's all we ask today. Do that, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.